Hi, Sam. I'm so excited to join you today to chat a little bit with our audience here on social media for Women Heart about the weekend we just had together at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. For those who are just joining us, or if you're new to Women Heart, we are a patient-centered organization that provides support, education, and advocacy to women living with and at risk of heart disease. And really, the core of what we do as an organization is we train women living with heart disease to be leaders in their community, to provide support to other women who are living with heart disease, to run support groups, to provide community education and other forms of peer-to-peer support. And the way we do that training is to gather a new class of WomenHeart Champions at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, once a year, to spend 3 to 4 days together, learning from one another, being trained by amazing faculty, and learning how to go back into their communities and become WomenHeart Champions. And that is what we just experienced this weekend. We had our first in-person Science and Leadership Symposium, as we call it, or S&L for short. We had our first S&L back in person since 2019 over the weekend. And so I'm excited that I have Sam here with me from our Women Heart team, who is there leading the effort. So Samantha, go ahead and introduce yourself, and why don't let's talk a little bit about what did they learn? What did our Women Heart Champions learn over the weekend?
Thank you, Amy. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Samantha Bort. I'm the Senior Manager of Programs and Hospital Partnerships. And so I was lucky enough this year to be able to join the Science and Leadership Symposium in person. As Amy said, it's been a couple of years for many people. So I know it's a huge difference to be there in person and see each other, see faces, exchange hugs, and have that type of connection, right? So in terms of what we did and what our women learn is, they really got to hear from each other. They got to hear each other's experiences. They got to hear from the experts and really work on planning their journey as Women Heart Champions. So we started with them learning about Women Heart programs, sort of planning what it is that they want to do once they go back. They learn about how to conduct community education, advocacy, outreach. They learn more about how to run support groups for the women in their communities, or whether that's a virtual support group as well. And then they also learn more about how to tell their stories. They learn about, they really dived into their whys, their why of why they're here, why they're advocating, why they want to provide education and support and want to reach other women. And so they worked with that to create the perfect story that's the most impactful. So that's a lot of what we did. And we also got to go to Mayo Clinic, where we heard from the experts. And we learn about the diagnostic tools that are used in cardiology. We learn about, some of the treatments, right? So we got to hold a stent. We got to see how it's deployed, all those really cool things, especially for people who have been hearing these things, right? Or have had these procedures on them, but getting to see it. And then we also talked about cardiac rehab. So we talked about why it's important, how it can be done depending on where you are, some of the concerns that people have after their heart event or after a procedure they've experienced. So it was a weekend packed of activities on learning and exchanging ideas. So it was amazing. It really was.
It really was. It was fun to be. I always, when we were in the Mayo Clinic and they were holding the stents and the balloons, they all kind of whipped out their phones and were recording, watching the balloon get blown up by the cardiologist, because like you said, so many of them experience that themselves, but you don't usually get to hold the devices or see what they look like up close. So it's always a very powerful moment for them. But I really think, they learn so much and they really do go back as experts. But I think also it's really just the essence of all being there and hearing their stories, and just the power of seeing what they've all gone through individually, and now they come together collectively. This class was really amazing, like all the classes before them. But there was 29 to 30 women that came from 19 different states. And they ranged in age. Our youngest champion, I think, was 30 years old, and our oldest that was there was 76. And you had all women in between. So they really do kind of reflect the age span of women in this country that are living with heart disease. And their experiences and their stories were diverse in many ways. We had quite a few women that have experienced spontaneous coronary artery dissection, or SCAD, which, sometimes people like to say is rare, but really isn't as rare as you think. It's just not always diagnosed. And so it was great to see those women come together and share their experiences with one another, having experienced SCAD. We had heart transplant patients. We had a lot of women who had experienced heart attacks, stories of being out running and collapsing and, being saved by folks that are walking by. So, you heard those, their experiences of being in the ICU for several days, the fear that comes with that, or, stories of not being believed or misdiagnosis. So all of these different stories came together, but it was really, I think, what's interesting is all those stories come together, but there's also a lot of uniqueness, but then a lot of commonalities, I feel like, that bring them all together.
Absolutely. There are so many unique stories, but I think they have this common thread that unites them, right? And on the first night, we asked their why. We asked about their, why are you here? Why are you at the symposium? And I think that what we hear, and it's similar to what I heard during the interviews, right? So you already know that connection's there. But I heard that they want to empower other women. They want to educate other women. They want to teach other women how to advocate for themselves. They all have their own journeys of not being believed or not knowing that something was wrong. So having to find, and fight for the care that they needed really is such a big part of their story. So they don't want anyone else to experience that. They don't want anyone else to have that feeling of isolation. And they want to let other women know that they're not alone.
Absolutely. And then they all come away as heart sisters. I think what's always the most fun part of the weekend is usually the last night, our graduation night, when they finally become official WomenHeart Champions. And we have a really beautiful dinner in the Mayo Clinic in the Gonda building. And they all dress up in red, and we take a lot of pictures, and it's just fun to sit back and kind of watch, right? There was so many people taking selfies. You get to see all the bonds that were formed, lots of exchanging of contact information to keep in touch. There's really friendships that are formed and bonds that are formed. Did you yourself, Sam, have a most memorable moment of the weekend?
Yeah, I think that's a hard question because, this was the first SNL where I joined, and the whole experience was very memorable. But I think if I had to pick a time that really stayed with me is Saturday night after a full day of training. So we had been up since very early. We had spent the whole day together, right? We come to dinner and we had asked them to share their why again, right? Their 6-word reason why they want to be advocates. And so they went around, and even though, we've had the full day of training and they're exhausted, you can see that energy coming back as they talk about their why, as they talk about what it is that they want to do. It was truly inspiring. And after we finished up, they all still stayed together and were talking and having conversations. So also seeing that connection, both of those things it really stayed with me as we finished up on Saturday.
It was. And it's exciting now to see them all go home and get ready to do the hard work at home.
Absolutely. So now that our champions have gone home, we are really looking forward to having them engage and get comfortable in their new role, right? So we told them at the symposium, we were like, you're going to go home, take a few days to breathe, process it all, and then start planning, right? Start having conversations with the other champions, start connecting with the champions who have been champions for a while as well. Your district leaders, have those conversations. So they're ready to, some of them have plans already to start support networks in their communities. Some of them are really looking at, okay, who can I partner with in my community? What can I do in terms of being at health fairs, being at events, spreading the word and spreading that awareness. And then we have some other ones who are full of creative ideas. And that was another great part of the symposium, really hearing all of all of the suggestions and ideas of what they can do once they go back, and things that, maybe haven't been done before, but here they are, they've just gone through this training, they're energized and ready to go back and do that. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of this class as well.
Of course. Well, it's been fun to relive it and chat about it, Sam. For those of you watching, if you want to learn more, I encourage you to continue following us on all of the social media channels. We will be posting pictures throughout the week so you can kind of see what it looked like and the experience, and sharing stories of our new champions. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in potentially becoming a champion, you can visit our website at WomenHeart.org. We won't be doing another in-person like this one for another year, but we will be doing a virtual training where you'll have a lot of the same great opportunities to learn from Mayo Clinic faculty and connect with other women with heart disease. So please pay attention to our website, again, WomenHeart.org, for more information about how to apply for that early in the new year. And keep following us, and we'll continue to report back the amazing things that our champions are doing on the ground throughout the country. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.